Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Sackboy, and today we have a very exciting video. Well, it's very exciting for me because I'm really excited to watch this, but I've just noticed that there is a new trailer up on the PlayStation channel that has to do with Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and I've watched it, and I've looked a little bit into it, and so this isn't a genuine reaction video, but I want to talk about it because there's a lot of really exciting stuff about Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and maybe some possible hints as to what kind of game we're going to be getting. And spoiler alert here, it's a very exciting game in my opinion, but there's definitely no create mode in this version. As far as I can tell, this is the confirmation that there is no create mode, which is sad, but again, I think we've kind of seen this coming with Little Big Planet sort of splitting into two spiritual successors, one being the continuation of Sackboy and his story, and Sackgirl and all the other Sack people, and the other side being sort of Dreams and the more advanced create mode, now fully in 3D. Now, again, this is not a discussion video on whether or not that was a good idea or whether or not I'm personally excited about that, but I am personally excited to get any more Sackboy games because I love the aesthetic, I love the characters that they've created, and obviously it's just such an incredibly creative platformer to begin with. I mean, yeah, they had a create mode in all of them, but honestly, the story mode was worth a game on itself. But regardless, that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you enjoyed this sort of video, feel free to leave a like down below. If you did enjoy videos about Little Big Planet and Dreams in general, feel free to subscribe. But yeah, let's get right into it because I'm going to do a lot of talking. Again, if you haven't seen this, feel free to go watch it first. I'll leave a link down below because I'm going to be stopping this and talking about it a lot. So if you're excited to get hype, it's probably a better idea to start with that and then come here. But yeah, let's get started.
Rated E for everyone.
Hi, my name's Ned Waterhouse and I'm the design director on Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Sackboy's return to PlayStation.
It's kind of cute. Alright, I know it's only 26 seconds in, but we are pausing it already because one of those moves that they just showed off from Sackboy is something that we'll see a lot of in this video, and that's clearly there's a lot more power-ups in this, and that is a much bigger focus than it was in any of the Little Big Planet games. And that's saying something because Little Big Planet had create your own power-up, but I'm really excited to see what they do with this. They'll show off a few more, but we got a little Luigi-style scatter jump there. Let's see what else we see.
Fame as the lead character in the hugely successful Little Big Planet series. Little Big Planet set a new standard in creative gaming with its play, create, and share ethos. With Sackboy: A Big Adventure,
kind of weird to mention that during this trailer, isn't it?
And this focus has given us a chance to create a game that's built from the ground up to be an amazing 3D platform.
Okay, so pause again there. I noticed the one big thing in this video that everybody was probably kind of waiting to hear, and they said they have decided to focus entirely on the gameplay of it. But I do appreciate that they mentioned that the roots of Sackboy are from Little Big Planet. I appreciate them talking about the game to begin with, because it's something that you kind of have to mention, because otherwise it kind of feels like you're ignoring the audience. And at least in this, they're acknowledging what Little Big Planet was, and they're kind of showing in the best way possible that this is not just another Little Big Planet game. There's going to be things that are good and bad about that, but I think it's nice to hear. And he also mentions that they do have time because of that to focus a lot more on the gameplay elements, and so obviously to me, but maybe not to everybody watching this video, this means a much longer and more intricate story mode. And also, as you could see there a few times, it's definitely going to be 4-player multiplayer, but he's going to talk about that, so I won't cut in for too long.
To do this, we started with Sackboy himself, redesigning his character controls from scratch. We knew that to create a great platform game, we needed a character that was incredibly responsive. So we said from day one, this game has to run at 60 frames per second. As well as being incredibly responsive, we wanted to set...
I love right there that he says this character has to be incredibly responsive, kind of implying that Sackboy and Little Big Planet wasn't, which I disagree with. I loved the kind of floaty jump controls in Little Big Planet, but I remember that XPlay and IGN both mentioned that as like a severe negative to the game and something that really bothered them, and I think that's why IGN ended up lowering their score. But if you've seen my first video ever on this channel, you will know that I don't always agree with IGN. But I know that other people also really disliked the sort of floaty controls of Sackboy. I've seen it mentioned on the forums, even from fans, so they did redesign jumping physics completely completely, and you can see that throughout. Sackboy controls completely differently. I do hope that a few things, like the grappling hook they show up there, they seem to look like they did in Little Big Planet, which is good, because the grappling hook was one of the most satisfying and like well play-tested sections of the entire campaign, and it was really, really fun to use another one. So I hope that they kept some of the things that worked well, but I'm interested to see if it really does control better than the Little Big Planet games. It's definitely different, though.
You loads of options so that you could choose how you played the game and define your own style of play. So we expanded Sackboy's moveset with tons of new skills and abilities. Now, to create an awesome platformer, you don't just need a great set of character controls.
Okay, before we go into the last section, this is a super dense video, so right there, he talks about all of the new different things that are very vague right now, but we see you've got a dive jump, you've got what looks like a spinning attack. I'm not sure if you have to have the grappling hook to use that, but there's a handful of new kind of Super Mario-like abilities for different kinds of jumps. I hope they really go in on that, but not too much, because one of the things that was the most fun about Little Big Planet was that the controls were really simple. X was jump, R1 was grab, and then of course you could smack people if you knew the advanced controls. But hopefully it's not too complicated, but I am definitely interested to see, especially with a 3D platformer, for them to really go in on these extra moves. There's a fine line between making it too complicated and making it really interesting, and so far it doesn't look like there's that many complications, so I'm still considering this a very, very positive part.
You also need a compelling world to explore.
Well, we know they can do that.
Meant that we've been able to push the visuals of Craftworld further than ever before to create a stunning handcrafted adventure. Now, this is a big game with loads of variety, where no two levels are the same.
So one thing to mention there, you can walk on ropes. That's pretty cool. That was definitely not something they could do in Little Big Planet, but more importantly, a lot of the stuff they show off in this video is things that were not possible in Little Big Planet because they would be too complicated for players to create themselves. And remember that in Little Big Planet, all of the different levels were created using the in-game level kit. I personally think they may have cheated a few times and like kind of snuck some things in there that we can't do. But, I mean, I think everything's been proven to have been created there, and I trust them. But it is interesting to see what greater things they can do now that they're not limited by making everything completely user-friendly for everybody to be able to use. Those tight ropes are just a really small example.
Every single stage is stuffed with fresh challenges to overcome, baddies to battle, new power-ups to master, and secrets to discover. There's just so much to see and do in this game, and we think you're going to love it. Sackboy: A Big Adventure isn't just a 3D platform, it's also a co-op platformer, and you can play through the whole game with your friends, either at home or online.
Oh, hold on, I want to go back there for a second and just see what that disclaimer said, because I missed that the first time I watched this video. So multiplayer, really exciting, we expect that was going to happen. It says internet connections required for online multiplayer. It doesn't say whether or not there's local multiplayer, but I would be shocked. Come back to this video and tell me I'm an idiot, but I would be shocked if they did not include local multiplayer in this. And it looks like it's all on the same screen, so I imagine that there will be. But I guess we'll have to wait.
We've also designed a set of specific co-op levels where you and your mates will have to work together if you want to succeed.
Now that is literally what made me go from like, I should react to this to I need to make a video on this, because all of this shows that not only have they expanded Sackboy's like repertoire of different moves that he can do himself or she can do herself, but instead you can now do moves with your friends, which this is so awesome. It might not seem super exciting to you, but give me a second to explain. This is incredibly interesting because they're creating, one, levels to take advantage specifically of co-op mechanics, and two, adding a bunch of co-op mechanics that aren't just you need two people to complete an objective. And so this is going to add a whole nother level of difficulty, but also like interesting difficulty. And it actually reminds me a lot of Portal, where they continue to add on to, in Portal 2, they continue to add on to the moveset you had and the different options that you had to use with the portal gun, but it's still stuck to like the same basic principles. You really only needed 2 portals to get through that. but they added a bunch of different external things. And so in this, maybe it's a weird reference, but I see them adding all of these new options and tools to Sackboy's kit, and because of that, adding all of those and then adding these co-op moves, there's going to be so many different options, and it just increases the complexity like to the nth degree. But again, with the initial Sackboy moves, they didn't look that complicated. It's just combining them and combining what we're seeing here from the multiplayer moves, I think we could see a lot of actually pretty difficult sections. And I remember Little Big Planet 1 was kind of infamous for a handful of like very difficult parts, but the game in general was pretty easy. And so I'm kind of hoping they go down this route and make it just a little bit more complex and a little bit more difficult, while keeping the general player experience for like somebody that doesn't want to collect everything somewhat simpler. There's no reason why we can believe it's going either way right now, because they haven't given any indication of that, but at least they're leaving it open for it to be pretty complex.
We've given Sackboy a bunch of new multiplayer moves so that you can both help and hinder your friends.
Exactly what we were waiting for. The slap move is back.
About this new direction for Sackboy. As you can imagine, building an all-new game around such an iconic PlayStation character comes with a weight of responsibility. But we've embraced this challenge. We've created what we believe is an exceptional platforming experience, an experience that fans are going to love once they get their hands on it. I'm going to shut up now. There's loads I'd love to tell you, but we're going to be sharing more about the game over the coming months.
Gosh, I'm so excited. Sorry, it's the end of the video for a second there, and I'm just sitting here like smiling and excited about this. But let me know what you guys think. Again, at the end there, we didn't see a whole lot other than, yeah, there's a lot more information coming. And I think, final thoughts, it looks amazing. After the first trailer, I was a little bit like, this sort of just looks like the 3D levels from Little Big Planet 3. And after seeing this trailer, just seeing all of the different things that they've done to make it different and to make it more complex, so that anybody that's played Little Big Planet that feels like something's missing hopefully has this handful of new abilities from Sackboy, new co-op abilities, and just general bigger scale on all of these stages in terms of complexity, whether it comes to the power-ups or just generally the visual complexity and obstacle complexity that we see in this trailer. I think there's more than enough here to warrant that it is its own game, and to warrant that they clearly put the production time that would have been spent on the create mode and the share aspect of this into this sort of platformer. I think that there's a handful of people out there that are probably going to be pretty disappointed that it's a 3D platformer, but I think that that's sort of not really something that you can take into account when you're making a game, because obviously there's people that love 2D platformers and don't like 3D platformers, and the other way around. And so I think that small group of people is definitely not worth changing your entire game for. So I'm excited to see that it's a 3D platformer. I do love 3D platformers, and I also love 2D platformers, but let me know what you guys think about this trailer in the comments down below. I am personally very excited for this. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm buying a PlayStation literally for this and for the enhanced version of Dreams. And so hopefully I get my hands on it ASAP so that we can play it here on the channel and discuss it. But let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. But for now, goodbye, everybody.